We stopped asking how our days had been, stopped sharing little things. Your eyes were always somewhere else, mine were begging you to stay. We laughed but something felt offbeat, like a song that lost its rhyme. We were standing in the same room, but living in different times. I felt the distance growing louder, even when the room was quiet. We ended before we said goodbye, before the tears, before the fight. Love slipped out between the lines, died slowly night by night. We didn't scream, we didn't cry, we just let the silence decide. We ended before we said goodbye. You touched my hand like it was fragile, like it didn't belong to you. I kept pretending everything was fine, like pretending we'll make it true. We stayed together out of habit, not because our hearts were strong. We were holding on to memories long after the feeling was gone. I knew the truth before you said it, I just wasn't ready to hear. We ended before we said goodbye, before the truth was spoken loud. We smiled through the breaking point, tried not to let it show somehow. We let the love stop quietly, watched it fade and pass us by. We ended before we said goodbye. Baby, love doesn't always explode. Maybe sometimes it just fades. Two people growing in different ways, afraid to say the same mistake. I don't blame you for leaving, I blame us for waiting too long. We ended before we said goodbye, but I'm finally letting go. I'm carrying the lesson forward, not the weight I used to hold. One day love won't feel like survival, one day it won't feel like a lie. We ended before we said goodbye. And that's how I survive. Some endings whisper, but they still change everything. You used to make time like it mattered, like I was part of your day. Now I fit somewhere between your silence and your maybe someday. You don't say you don't love me, but you don't show it anymore. And love shouldn't feel like guessing or standing outside the door. I felt it before you admitted, I felt you slipping free. You stopped choosing me, stopped choosing us. I stayed fighting for a love you barely discussed. You chose comfort, space, and peace. You chose everything but me. You didn't leave, suddenly you stopped choosing me. I watched you cancel plans easily, like my time didn't count. You laughed harder with strangers than you ever did around me now. I kept lowering my expectations so I wouldn't feel the fall. But loving someone halfway still hurts the same after all. I was loyal to your potential, you were loyal to your escape. You stopped choosing me every quiet day. You let the distance grow and called it okay. I kept choosing patience, you kept choosing relief. You didn't break my heart at once, you stopped choosing me. Maybe love doesn't need drama, maybe it just fades away. But I deserved honesty, not silence dressed as change. I don't hate you for moving on, I hate how invisible I became. You stopped choosing me, but now I finally see I was never asking for too much, just to matter equally. One day I'll be someone's first choice, not someone they slowly leave. You stopped choosing me, now I'm choosing me. I stayed loyal too long, but I'm free now.
You said you needed something different, said you were finding who you are. I held your hand and told you I'd stay right where you were. You talk about tomorrow lightly, like love was easy to replace. I built my world around your name, you called us just a phase. I was planning forever, you were counting the days. I was your phase, you were my home. I gave you roots, you needed room to roam. You walk away to find yourself, I stayed lost on my own. I was your phase, you were my home. Oh, you were my home. I watched you change your dreams so fast, like ours were never real. You said you needed space to breathe, I didn't know how to feel. You packed your heart so quietly, left no one inside. I stayed loyal to a future that only lived in my mind. I loved with everything I had, you loved when it felt safe. Oh, I was your phase, you were my home. I built your shelter in my soul. You wanted something unknown, you left without looking back, like love was just a road. I was your phase, you were my home. Maybe love shouldn't feel so uneven, like one heart beats alone. Maybe I love the idea of us more than the truth I was signs. I was your face, but I won't be that again. I deserve to be someone's future, not a lesson in the end. One day I'll be someone's forever, not something overgrown. I was your face. Took temporary love for something meant to stay.
I memorized the way you breathe, the pauses in your tone. I felt you move before you spoke. I never felt alone. You loved me when it was convenient, when it didn't ask too much. I loved you like a promise, like I'd never let you drop. I didn't notice at first, but my heart was the only one trying. I loved you louder than you loved me back. I shouted with my actions, you whispered in the gaps. I stayed when it was painful, you stayed when it was light. I loved you louder every single night. I defended you in every room, even when you weren't there. I made excuses for your distance, called a need an air. You said you loved me in your way, said love looks different too. But love shouldn't feel like I'm alone in something meant for two. I was holding on to hope, you were holding on to space. I loved you louder with everything I had. I stayed through every silence, you avoided feeling sad. I gave you all my patience, you gave me reasons why. I loved you louder, and that's why I cry. Maybe I confused intensity with truth. Maybe I ignored the signs. But loving deeply isn't wrong, even if the time ain't right. I won't apologize for caring, for feeling what was real. I loved you louder, but I'm quiet now. I'm learning how to hold myself, learning how to bow out. One day I'll love someone gently, who won't make me prove my worth. I loved you louder now, I put myself first. Soft love still counts, even when it hurts. Even when it hurts. I used to tell you everything, every fear, every dream. Now I sit beside you silently, like you don't notice me. You scroll through moments I don't share, smile at things I can't see. I stopped asking what was wrong, You stopped asking about me. I didn't wanna be dramatic, so I swallowed every sound. I learned to cry quietly, so you wouldn't hear. I hid the cracks inside my voice, pretended I was clear. I learned to break politely, so you could stay at ease. I learned to cry quietly while losing pieces of me. I started lowering my feelings so yours wouldn't feel too heavy. I turned my pain into patience, hoping you'd come back ready. You said I was overthinking, said love was still the same. But love doesn't feel so lonely when both hearts stay in the frame. I was shrinking to survive you. That's when I knew somehow. I learned to cry quietly behind a gentle smile. I told myself it's just a phase, just give it a while. But every tear I swallowed took more truth from me. I learned to cry quietly until I couldn't breathe. Maybe I stayed too long, hoping you'd notice my pain. Maybe love shouldn't require so much silence to remain. I don't blame you for leaving, I blame myself for staying still. I learned to cry quietly, but now I'll speak aloud. I won't disappear slowly, just to keep you proud. I deserve a love that listens, that sees the real me. I learned to cry quietly, now I choose honesty. Soft hearts still matter, even when they're tired.